Imagine Ray walking through the streets of New York City in 1933. The Great Depression is in full swing, and times are tough. Every corner tells a story of struggle, and for many, survival itself has become a desperate gamble. In the heart of the Bronx, tucked away in a dimly lit, smoky speakeasy, a group of 5 men thought they'd stumbled upon a foolproof plan to get rich quick. Their target, a man named Michael Malloy. Michael, often called Mike the Durable or Iron Mike, was a homeless Irish laborer. He had no family, no money, and seemingly no future. To the 5 conspirators, he was the perfect mark, a man whose disappearance wouldn't raise any alarms. So, they hatched a scheme. Led by the bar's owner, Tony Marino, the group took out 3 life insurance policies on Malloy, forging his signature. The total payout would be over $3,000, a fortune at the time. All they had to do was wait for Michael to die. And they decided to help him along. Their plan seemed simple enough. Michael loved to drink, so they offered him an unlimited tab at the bar. They figured he would drink himself to death, and they could cash in. Day after day, Michael sat at the bar, happily accepting every drink they poured. He drank from sunup to sundown, consuming staggering amounts of whiskey. But there was a problem. Not only did Michael not die, he seemed to be thriving. He'd show up every morning, ready for another day of free drinks, healthier than ever. The conspirators grew impatient. Plain alcohol wasn't working, so they decided to up the ante. They started swapping out his whiskey with something far more lethal, antifreeze. Michael would down the glass, thank them for the drink, and ask for another. He didn't even seem to notice the difference. They were baffled. Next, they mixed in turpentine. Still nothing. He just kept drinking. Frustrated, they moved on to horse liniment, a potent topical pain reliever, and then mixed in a healthy dose of rat poison. Michael drank it all without complaint. At one point, they even fed him a sandwich made of spoiled sardines, metal shavings, and crushed carpet tacks. Michael happily ate the entire thing. It was as if his body was immune to poison. By this point, the group was getting desperate and spending more money on keeping Michael alive than they stood to gain from his death. They decided a more direct approach was needed. On a bitterly cold winter night, with temperatures dropping well below zero, they waited for Michael to pass out from his heavy drinking. They carried his unconscious body outside, dumped him in a snowbank, and poured 5 gallons of ice-cold water on his chest and face, hoping he would freeze to death by morning. They went to bed, confident that their troubles were finally over. But the next day, who walks back into the bar, shivering but very much alive? Michael Malloy. He complained about having a bit of a chill but was otherwise unharmed. He had somehow survived a night that should have killed anyone. The legend of Iron Mike was beginning to grow around the neighborhood. People started whispering about the man who couldn't die. The conspirators were at their wits' end. Their plan was spiraling out of control. They decided on an even more drastic measure. One of the men in the group, a taxi driver, was tasked with running Michael over. After a night of drinking, they got Michael into the street, and the taxi driver sped towards him, hitting him at nearly 45 miles per hour. They left him for dead in the road and fled the scene. They waited for news of his death, checking the papers and listening for police reports. But there was nothing. A few weeks later, to their absolute horror, Michael limped back into the bar. He had a few broken bones and some bruises but was otherwise alive. He said he couldn't remember what had happened but was just glad to be back for his free drinks. Their final, most desperate attempt was as grim as it was clumsy. They waited for Michael to pass out one more time. This time, they dragged him to a rented room, put a hose in his mouth connected to a gas jet, and turned it on, filling his lungs with carbon monoxide. This, finally, did the trick. Michael Malloy was dead. The conspirators quickly had a doctor, who was in on the scheme, declare the death was due to pneumonia and collected their insurance money. They thought they had finally succeeded, but their celebration was short-lived. The sheer number of attempts and the rumors circulating about Iron Mike had drawn suspicion. Insurance investigators started asking questions. The story just didn't add up. It didn't take long for the police to get involved. Under questioning, One of the conspirators cracked and confessed to the entire plot. All 5 members of the so-called murder trust were arrested. Their trial became a media sensation, a bizarre and morbid tale of greed and incompetence. The press dubbed Michael Malloy the man who wouldn't die. In the end, justice was served. All 5 conspirators were found guilty of murder and sentenced to the electric chair. Michael Malloy's story is one of the strangest in New York City's history. A man who, through an incredible combination of luck, an astonishingly resilient constitution, and perhaps just pure stubbornness, survived everything that was thrown at him. He didn't live a long life, but for a brief, incredible period, he was the man that death itself seemed to refuse to take. His legend lives on as a testament to one of the most absurd and failed murder plots ever conceived. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as wild as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories from history.